Well, good morning. I'm Norma, and I bring you a few thoughts on this Friday, June the 13th. Now, I couldn't find a definitive reason why Friday the 13th is thought to be unlucky, but one source linked its history to the Last Supper, where Judas the betrayer was the 13th guest, and of course, the crucifixion to Friday. So it is perhaps fitting that today's gospel precedes these events. I'm reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 19, verses 41 to 48. And as he came near and saw the city, he wept over it, saying, "If you, even you, had only recognized on this day the things that make for peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. Indeed, the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up ramparts around you and surround you and hem you in on every side. They will crush you to the ground, you and your children within you. And they will not leave within you one stone upon another, because you did not recognize the time of your visitation from God." And then he entered the temple and began to drive out those who were selling things there. And he said, "It is written, 'My house shall be a house of prayer,' but you have made it a den of robbers." Every day he was teaching in the temple. The chief priests, the scribes, and the leaders of the people kept looking for a way to kill him, but they did not find anything they could do, for all the people were spellbound by what they had heard. And this is the gospel of Christ. With the shouts of Hosanna, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," still echoing in the air, Jesus the King, the Prince of Peace, rides humbly upon a donkey into Jerusalem for Passover. And as he rides past the Mount of Olives, he understands that he will become the sacrificial lamb. As he views the city of Jerusalem, Jesus weeps for those who could not see God walking among them, for those who would choose chaos and violence over peace and unity. He weeps for the temple, a holy place, the physical representation of God's very presence, knowing that it would be destroyed, not one stone would remain upon another. And as followers of Christ, we too should be filled with compassion and weep at the sight of families torn apart by war, images of starving children, or our very neighbors who are tormented by drug addiction or mental illness. We weep from a sense of helplessness and despair. Jesus weeps from a heart that sees endless possibilities, yet unrealized. Jesus enters the temple and witnesses it being turned into a place of greed and thievery. Merchants cheating the faithful who have simply come to offer sacrifice for themselves and for their families. You see, at Passover, Jewish families would make an annual pilgrimage to the temple where they would purchase a lamb or maybe a pair of doves. Most would carry Roman currency, but the temple dealt only in Hebrew shekel. There were some dishonest merchants who would charge excessive exchange rates in order to line their own pockets. And in a way, they have cheapened Jesus' sacrificial act. Now, Jesus demonstrates there is a time to weep, but when our tears are spent, it is time to become angry and to act, to stand up for those who suffer from cruelty, injustice, from prejudice or abuse. But it is an anger always laced with love and a desire to restore our broken relationship with God. Speaking in the presence of those who wish to kill him, Jesus boldly taught daily in the temple about God's love and mercy. But the religious leaders were unable to act because the truth held the people spellbound. Well, speaking God's truth will likely draw criticism. We may alienate ourselves from those who do not know God. But God calls us to bravely speak for those who have no voice, to give to those who have nothing to offer in return, to show love toward those who feel unworthy of love, to be comforting embrace to those living in fear. And this requires great humility. See, it forces us to face our own failures, times when we need forgiveness and to be shown mercy. Barbara Brown Taylor paints this picture. Imagine a four-tiered fountain in which God's glory spills over into Christ, and Christ's glory pours into the church, and the church's glory pours into all creation. Now, the phrase God's glory could be substituted with words like beauty or wonder. And this is a fountain that will never run dry. We are to be a church where everyone is welcome, everyone belongs, and where God's grace is poured out through our imperfect lives. Now, believe me when I say, I know how scary this sounds. A monastic life shut away from the cares of the world is very alluring. But we live in a time where we must remain present and focused. While Jesus certainly saw the worst of humanity, he also saw our potential to make a difference in this world. We will all be faced with moments when we know that what we say or what we do will have significant consequences. These courageous decisions may never be witnessed by anyone, but they will affect our own sense of integrity and will set the course for the rest of our lives. Ordinary people stepping out to speak God's truth. And you won't always get it right. There are invaluable lessons to be learned from failing, but having the courage to get up and try again. But we need to seek ways to shield our hearts and minds, to not give in to fear and despair, or worse, complacency. This same God who weeps for his broken creation is also a God of love and compassion. Guard your hearts in the beauty of God's loving presence. Renew yourselves in moments of holy light and peace. Encourage one another. Well, a couple of weeks ago, the choir sang a hymn by Ronald Klausmeier with lyrics by Walter Farquharson. And I would like to offer these words as the final prayer. Teach me, God, to wonder. Teach me, God, to see. Let your world of beauty capture me. Let me, God, be open. Let me loving be. Let your world of people speak to me. Let me, God, be ready. Let me be awake. In your world of loving my place take. Teach me, God, to know you, hear you when you speak, see you in my neighbor when we meet. Praise to you be given, love for you be lived, life be celebrated, joy you give. Amen. Well, my dear friends, the Good News team is taking a break over the summer, and so this is my last time with you for a couple months. I am so grateful to each of you who have journeyed with me over this past year, and I have been blessed by your encouraging comments. I hope you have an amazing summer, and I look forward to being with you again in September. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.